Thanks, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Doug Rice, was founder and CEO for many years of HTNG, now emeritus. And
Doug, 1 second. Can you cut the music? There we go.
Sorry. I'm Doug Rice. Know many of you in this room. I'd like to introduce Alex. We're doing a fireside chat, as you can see. This is about as close as we could get. The fire marshal didn't approve the fireplace that we wanted to do. But Alex, maybe you could first just tell us, why is your picture half cyborg? And then maybe just a bit about your company.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. We'll get there, technical. Good afternoon. So my name is Alex Bainbridge. Why am I a cyborg? Well, I come from the sightseeing sector. A long time ago, I did work in the hotel industry when I was doing a startup called And Book. Anyone who's older might be able to remember that. Yeah. Oh, we've got here. Yeah. And that was founded by Hilton, Accor, and Le Méridien in about 2000. And so I have been in the hotel industry, but most of my career I've been now in the sightseeing industry. And we are all about augmenting humans using AI, not replacing humans. So I'm a believer that everyone has to turn into a cyborg. So I am, in my business and my industry, the chief cyborg.
So I want to start off with a quick question for everybody in the audience. How many of you use open source software? Hands. Okay, so the rest of you have never used the World Wide Web or an email, right? We'll come back to that maybe a little bit later, but I think open source is very critical to what we're going to talk about today. So I want to start, and I'm going to just ask some questions, and Alex is going to do the heavy lifting with the answers here. But I want to start with, what are the technology elements that need to mature in order to drive true AI-enabled personalization in hospitality and leisure?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. Personalization, spelt with an S, as a Brit. The key thing that we really need is travel preferences. We need to know who the guest is that we are dealing with. And there's been several approaches to do that, some of which have been using the PMS profile. And what we're going to talk about today is a new approach based on open source technologies. And beyond preferences, you then need to have advanced and extensive data that you can use in your hotel. We heard earlier from one of the PMSs talking about knowing which balconies are south-facing. That's the level of detail that we're going to need. So various different angles. We need the preferences, and we need much more data about properties.
So for the last 5 years or so, you and I have been working through the nonprofit standards body, the Decentralized Identity Foundation, better known as DIF, DIF, on self-sovereign identity. And in the last 2 years, we have specifically focused on providing that definitive knowledge of the customer or the visitor to a supplier, a hotel, or anybody else in travel. Can you tell us a bit about that effort and where we are in it and why we did it?
Yeah. So the standard is called HATPRO, HATPRO, and that stands for the Hospitality and Travel Profile. It's a good name. And I think that the reason we did it is because we need this to be an open standard. We can't have this as a proprietary approach. In the same way that the web and email is open, we need any PMS to be able to build this. We need any hotel chain to be able to build this. We need any independent hotel to be able to build this. And not only is it constrained to within the hotel and hospitality sectors, but because it's a public and open standard, it will also work with local sightseeing vendors and attractions, restaurants, and bars. And that's important too, so that the preferences don't just stay within the four walls of the hotel, but they get out of the hotel into the sort of local environment. So I'm a big believer in open source as a mechanism to enable us to build this new standard. But in my sector, sightseeing, we are a decentralized industry, right? We have lots of local companies all over the place, and they're not put into chains so much like the hotel sector is. Although of course there's a flourishing independent hotel sector too. So we need to maintain the decentralized nature of the industry, and that's fundamentally one of the things that the standard can help. So that was my motivation why I got involved in the project. And I think we for the last few years, I mean, I've been doing 2 or 3 hours a week on it with several others and Doug, and it's quite a commitment to get this tech to a point that it's now usable. We've had some companies have done some sort of minimum viable product implementations, not quite using the standard, but using early concepts of it. And we've now published a document, which is the implementation guide, which is 50 pages long, which is very extensive, and it has all the details you need. At the very least, what you can do is you can cut and paste that document into an AI like ChatGPT and just ask it questions. That's quite a cool thing to do if you don't want to read the whole 50 pages. Although you could read the whole 50 pages. I'm sure some of you guys have got long flights. So
I think one of the things that's very critical about the difference between self-sovereign identity and traditional identity models is that you as a consumer or a visitor or a hotel guest or an airline traveler control your own information on your own device in your own cloud service, which means that because you can share it with anybody, you're willing to give a lot more information than you're going to give each of the 42 different travel and hospitality vendors you might use in a single month. And that's how many I used last month, at least that I could remember counting. So the idea that you build it once means you get much more detailed information.
yeah, and I think the key other point is that due to its decentralized nature, it resolves the issue relating to regulation, such as GDPR, like we have in Europe. So if I, as a consumer, share with a hotel, and the hotel then shares with the bar, the hotel has to take responsibility for what the bar does with the data. But in a decentralized world, the consumer shares with the hotel, and then the consumer shares with the bar if they want to. And therefore, you don't have the same regulatory issues as you do in a current situation where you're trying to maintain a hotel profile, and then the hotel profile is being distributed around the place.
So the obvious question is, why do we need Hat Pro versus or in addition to the loyalty or CRM profiles or PMS profiles that travel and hospitality suppliers already had? What does it add?
So you can still have PMS profiles, right? You can still have profiles. What Hat Pro does is it makes it an interchangeable data standard with other platforms. So you can still maintain your own databases. Hat Pro is a transmission standard, not a storage standard. So you will still store profiles, but you don't actually have to store as much data as you used to. We had a meeting the other day, and a hotel chain who will remain nameless said that they've got millions of customer profiles, which costs them millions of dollars to store. They know that 75% of the profiles are wrong, but what they don't know is which 75%. What this does is it enables, at the point that you want the latest data about the guest, you can just ping an ID, we call them a decentralized ID, and you can get the latest preferences. And then when the guest is no longer staying with you, you can actually delete those preferences off your platform, because you know if you've got their decentralized ID, you can ask them again in 6 months' time or 2 months' time. So it's just a better approach for how data is stored. So you don't have to store all your profiles as you do today.
And one of the biggest issues that hotels have, at least in my experience in their profiles, is outdated email addresses and phone numbers. And the beauty of self-sovereign identity is you update it once. Anybody who already subscribes to your profile with your permission gets that notification that you've changed. You don't have to do it manually. I can't tell you how many profiles I have that have outdated information. There are people who are still trying to email me at an email address that I haven't used in 22 years.
Yeah. So the key point about this is that it's more complete data because the guest is motivated to get their data right because it's going to be used in multiple scenarios, and it's more accurate data because they're like, oh, I've suddenly decided not to drink alcohol, which would be a good decision if I took that, that is updated in one profile, and it then updates all the relevant scenarios, and that means that the data is accurate and it's more complete. So if you're going to use AI for personalization, this is what you need, because this is the foundation. I.e., you need to know the preferences, and you need to have them in a way that AI can consume them nicely.
So this is an AI conference, Alex. Why do we need a structured profile at all? Can't AI just figure all this stuff out for us?
Yeah, it would be nice. I'm a techie. I still write code, and I write a lot of AI code. And I can tell you, it's not as straightforward as everyone says. If everyone says, "Oh yeah, you can just vibe code this stuff," I'm like, no, not when it's to do with personal data. So we have two forms of fields. We have enums, which means that you can select from, let's say, one of 10 options, and they're great for structured data. And then we have freeform fields, which are kind of, how you might like your beef cooked or something, where it's a little bit more freeform, or how you have your coffee, because everyone, trust me, has their coffee in a completely different way. So the rule that we support both, so you can have structured and unstructured data in HatPro. And if you're integrating with an existing profile platform that is mostly structured data, that means we can do it. Or if you're building for AI where the LLM can understand unstructured data, that's great too. I tend to have a rule in my platform, because we use this technology to deliver sightseeing, personalized sightseeing, is that if you're stopping something bad from happening, then use structured data. So alcohol, binary, yes, no. But if it's like, what kind of foods do you like after you're tired when you're been traveling? That is unstructured data, and often not necessarily. So that's not stopping bad things from happening. That's making good things happen, because your flight's being cancelled. You're suddenly turning up at the hotel at 11:30 at night. The kitchen is closed, and the hotel's gone. I can get this meal ready for this person, even though they haven't asked for a meal, and I know they're going to like it because I've got their travel preferences.
So, I think a couple of other things that I would add to that is AI has a lot of ambiguity around language. Languages are ambiguous. AI can often guess correctly what you want based on your history, but you can verify that that's what you want. You can actually confirm it. So we actually see this evolving perhaps as your AI agent might start suggesting to you, would you like to add this to your profile? I notice you've ordered this the last 3 times. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. It depends on the context of why you ordered it those times and whether you expect to do that in the future. So I think that understanding the language ambiguity and the context is something that AI isn't very good at today. Will it get better? Yes.
So a good example of that, and I'll give you a British example, is who here eats chips? Put your hand up. Who here eats French fries? Okay. So in British, the proper original language, we say chips for, bits of potato that have been in the oven, probably, rather than you guys say chips for things that have been, thin, wafery things that are a bit more solid. That was a weird description, but anyway. So if you are, as a guest, you're saying, my favorite food is chips. I did once, in an American restaurant, get a burger with chips, and it really did come with chips, not French fries. I was like, what's going on here? This is something that AI can't deal with, because you as a consumer have put your data into a platform that is, you think you're using a British system, and then all of a sudden it's been used, your profile has been used in America. We do need to handle that. So we do have some, that's one of the challenges with AI-based personalization, is you do get these kind of fun little glitches here and there.
Yeah, I think another good example of why this is in many ways a more complete approach is you'd like to be able to walk up to a restaurant that you don't have a reservation at, tap your phone at the maitre d' station, and have it know exactly what you like for food, so that you can see the stuff that's relevant to your particular dietary preferences and requirements. You can't do that with AI. You have to sit there, spending a long time, building a prompt. That's not what you're there for. Tapping a phone is a much more appropriate way to deal with it.
So structured data is great, unstructured data is great. Depending on what platform and what systems you've got today that you're operating, you will have a combination of both, and we can support a combination of both. And over time, if we need to evolve, it's an evolving standard. If we need to evolve more to unstructured data, we can do it.
So this is a hotel conference, but a hotel is part of a destination with lots of other things travelers like to do: attractions, restaurants, activities, experiences, events, and so forth. Are these other segments impacted the same way or differently?
It's a great question. I think the hotel is ultimately a bed with an amazing experience wrapped around it. But in sightseeing, we've got so many changes happening as a result of AI. We've got AI glasses, which is kind of like the iPhone moment for sightseeing. We've got autonomous vehicles, which if you're a tour bus company is something you have to think about. So AI is changing sightseeing in a really significant way. And the way that I see it is that you as a consumer will use something like HatPro, and it will get your preferences and will design you a night out based on what you like to do and how you like to do it. So different changes are happening in different sectors. It's also impacting flight, and you can use these preferences within a connected trip concept, which is kind of an interesting way of doing it. So everything's interconnected.
And there's an opportunity, I think, for hotels to be the one who starts recommending the local activities and perhaps monetizing them in new ways that you can't today if you actually know what people want to do and you can build the partner network.
Yeah.
So, final question, what's next for HatPro?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, we are having early conversations with hotel chains and others who want to get on board and do it. There are startups who are integrating, like my own, and there's hotel chains, there's bigger distribution platforms. So we are in early conversations with anyone who wants to get on board and start adopting it. To me, it's the most obvious, logical thing to do. It's a foundational piece of tech that's required for AI-based personalization. So if you want to be doing AI-based personalization in 2 years' time or 12 months' time, you do need to lay some foundations first, and this is part of that.
And I might add one other thing that is next is we're starting to build out a lot of these deep sectors, like if we're talking about scuba diving activities or mountain climbing activities or bicycling trips or autonomous tours or food and beverage. We need experts from those different fields to help us make sure that we've got all the right things in it. So it's a framework. The framework is pretty much now complete, and you'll be able to get the code on GitHub, I think, within a week, as well as the implementation guide. But we do need industry participation from across the entire spectrum of travel, leisure, hospitality to really make this do everything that it's capable of doing.
So can I just say where you can get the implementation guide? We have a web address, which is not on the wall, so let me try and spell it out. Everyone pay attention, get your pens out. It's HTWG, which is Hospitality and Travel Working Group. So HTWG.identity.foundation. If you go there, you can download the implementation guide and also put your email address in the newsletter to stay up to date.
So we have 55 seconds. If we maybe take one quick question.
Yeah, I'll get
Right?
one. Hold on a second. Oh, sorry.
I was involved in the early calls we had on this, and congratulations on getting it to where it is. Quick question on you talked about Alex, the use case of a guest checks out and then you can delete their data. One of the things that we contemplated at the time was when a guest checks out, they can revoke access to their data, like only give it to you during the context of a stay, and then I no longer want you to have that information, so I can just revoke it. And again, once they stay again, they could provide it, or the hotel could request it. Is there, can you just quickly describe that mechanism?
Yes, so we don't have a revocation concept at this second. However, our principle is to make it so that we can interconnect between different PMS platforms, different hotels, different out-of-sector platforms like restaurant bookings and sightseeing, etc. So you could, if you're in this kind of hybrid approach where the PMS is still maintaining a profile for a period of time, then that's I can absolutely see that would be a hybrid scenario for a few years. And then eventually, with digital wallets becoming a commonplace bit of tech on Android and iOS, then yeah, we will get to that point. But in the meantime, we want to work with your existing technology. I know you're a tech provider. We work with your existing technology to make it work for your clients, and future is the future.
So we're out of time, and thank you very much for your attention.
Before you leave, Alex, can you the website again? The crowd would love to know.
HTWG is in Hospitality and Travel Working Group .identity.foundation.
Wow. It's a long URL. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.